What's up, YouTube? This is D, and I think it's time for an update.
From this moment on, you will now be known as Sharkbait.
Sharkbait! Ooh ha ha!
Welcome, brother Sharkbait.
Sharkbait! Ooh ha ha!
Enough with the Sharkbait.
Sharkbait! Ooh, bump.
What's up, everybody? This is D again, and I know I have been all over the place with the updates. Sometimes it's freshwater, sometimes it's saltwater, sometimes it's how to. It's getting cold, and as things just settle down, I'm spending more and more time with the tanks. I think we tend to spend more time with our tanks in the wintertime, especially when the weather is bad. And I think it's really, really important to keep these updates actually up to date. I went through a lot of hustle and bustle when I redid the Nano, had a lot of algae growing, had a lot of issues going on. So let me put on the spectacles and take you in for a closer look. That's a little more like it. One thing I always do when I go to the store is I keep a pair of these glasses in the car so I can actually see what the coral are going to look like under the tank lights and under lights that I have at home. That's another good tip. Tip is don't always think that the coral are going to look the way they do in the store when you get them home, because most of the time they will not. Let me bring the glasses out for a minute. Usually when you're in the store, you look at the coral through all blue. And a lot of the times you can't even capture the true color with your eyes because they may have LEDs, they may have black boxes, they may have Ecotech radions, they may have aqualuminations. Long story short, there are thousands of different color variations in the lights. You can see the lights over this tank look like that, and the lights over this tank look like this. So I always keep these glasses in the car. I got these from Macna a while back. Thank you guys from Reef to Reef. If you don't know about Reef to Reef, check them out on the internet. Great information on Reef to Reef, and that was another good tip that I got from them. Well, anyway, this is the 20-gallon Nano. I spent a lot of time with the 20-gallon Nano because the larger tank, the main tank in the house, is really a cruise control. It's been running for 20 years now. I don't have delicate coral in there, so to speak, mostly levers and softies. This tank is more dedicated to a focused approach. More water changes, more delicate coral, some SPS coral. I do have my Duncan I added most recently. If you can get a good color, it's really hard to appreciate the colors of that Duncan. Oh my God, it is blue, purple, and red. I can't even get it with the lens. Hopefully can see it, but it has been in here for about 2 weeks. It has grown exponentially. You can see the size of the heads are really large. And I've been feeding it with cyclopes, and I've been feeding it brine shrimp. Yes, I'm feeding my Duncan some good advice, and has been doing very well. And I didn't want to add anything like Duncan's until I got the algae issue under control. Look at this guy. He loves the camera. I don't know how much longer he's going to be around. He's pretty old. One of my sailfin mollies. He loves the camera. But yeah, the Duncan's doing well, and I have to attribute it to my sailfin molly and to my algae blenny, which have done an excellent job getting rid of a lot of that nuisance hair algae. This tank was overridden with hair algae when I recycled it and started all over. I added the gravel, which I've been cleaning on a regular. And I have to make it a point of mentioning that because it took over about 5 to 6 months to get that under control. I took the refugium section out, which you will see. You'll see that used to be the refugium. I took it out, took it up, put it out of the way because I did something a little different. I just let the Chaeto loose in the back of the tank. So I actually see it growing. And when it grows, I just cut it back and remove it. I think it looks more natural. The fish graze on it, like the molly grazes on it, the algae blenny grazes on it. He's been getting used to me more and more. He would not sit out like this about a couple of weeks ago. I've had him for about a month. Beautiful fish, lots of character. You can see them grazing, constantly keeping things under control. I really appreciate it. But when people don't show the bad things what they go through with the tank, it creates a real false idea of what keeping a saltwater tank is. It is no more difficult than keeping a freshwater tank. There are just different items of concern. Algae is the same whether you have a freshwater tank or saltwater tank. Keeping the balance in the water parameters is always important, and that's something that you just have to be aware of when you start a tank, that it is not going to be beautiful overnight. Everything takes time, and everything takes a little bit of focus and a little bit of hard work. So this tank was redone. I've had this tank running for, I guess, about 6 years now. I want to say 6 or 7. If you're not sure, and I'm not sure, click the subscribe button and you can go back and watch prior videos. I've had all kinds of coral growing in this tank. Lovely tank, 20 gallons, all built in, no sump. Let me go phase out and give you a little update. This is a custom tank built by me. I just took a 20-gallon tank. Let me move this out of the way. I built a compartment in it. All things filtration are in this compartment. I have a Reef Octopus Nano skimmer in here, which is actually fed off a battery operated pump. I'm gonna zoom out a little bit. Okay, it's fed off a battery operated pump, which I have up here. I just felt that was more efficient than running the Reef Octopus pump, which actually died on me twice. The Reef Octopus pump is great unless the water level runs low or it runs hot. It tends to expand because it's such a small pump. But anyway, you can see it is running very well. It collects a good bit of skimmate, and I really don't worry about skimming in this tank, because most of the nutrient removal I could do by doing water changes. In this tank, all you need is about a 5-gallon water change, maybe once every 2 weeks or so, once the tank is stable. And it's been doing a great job. I have a titanium heater buried down in there and a Via Aqua return pump, which is pushing everything. Those of you that always put the whammy on my swirling power head, thank you. It finally kicked off on me. I got to buy another one. But 7 years is a good run. So very simple tank, very simply kept. The most complicated thing to achieve in a small tank is stability. I really, really, really have to push home that smaller tanks are not simple. They have to get cycled and balanced out. The best way to do that is to get a nice amount of biomedia in here in the ways of rock. Get a nice amount of rock, open space, make sure you have circulation behind as well as in front. You can see I have power head, I have a wave maker back there. I have, I believe that's a Oase Nano wave maker. And I have the return pump blowing this way in the front of the tank, so there's movement on both sides of the rock so you don't have stagnant areas. The fish, the bioload is very light. Don't want to rush your bioload. And for the first month or 2 months, it was me taking this rock out and scrubbing this rock. Not cleaning it, but scrubbing the algae. It was a lot of hair algae on there. If I have an old picture, I'll try to put that up in a corner somewhere. But I had some algae issues, and it's just good old-fashioned elbow grease and cleaning the rock. The mollies, I had to add a little ways down the road because you can't just throw the fish in there as the tank is cycling. But he definitely helped. The algae balloon definitely helped. I have a cleanup crew of snails. I'm not a big advocate of crabs because crabs tend to pick on things you don't want them to pick on. And like everything else in the animal world, every animal is different. You may have people that say they swear by crabs and have no problem. I just keep an eye on them. But yeah, I did struggle with starting the tank up. Actually, it was more work redoing the tank than it was actually initiating the tank the first time. I didn't have that algae bloom. But I did add the sand, which you can see is actually clean. Like my little war coral down there, if I can focus. I have a chalice in the back, which is just a standard purple chalice coral. I figured I would leave it low in the water column and see if it grows outward or upward. Last time I had it growing from the top of this rock and it was very sharp, and I ended up cutting my hand on it more than once, so I'll see how that does down there. My toadstool letter is not opened up right now because the algae billini had been landing on it. I did have a big aptasia right there. I can't see it here because I doused it with a good amount of caulk-wasser. You can see it a little bit peeking out there. Aptasia was sticking out of that hole. You can't stand those things, but they're part of the ecosystem as well. So what are you going to do? The Zoa rock has been doing well. You don't even need the goggles to see the beauty. If you can see how beautiful these bullseye zoas are without the glasses, you can imagine what they look like with the native eye. They're really beautiful and starting to encrust, as well as these here. You can see right here, they're actually moving off the frag plug. You can't even see the frag plug. I broke the stalk off and glued it to that rock, and they're growing off the frag plug and up to the rock. I have to attribute the movement to actually having the flow. I think I had the flow a little bit too focused, so I had to do some changes with that. And the same with these here also, a blend of red and yellow and greens. But anyway, everything is starting to encrust nicely. Tank is doing well. It is approaching a year on the redo. Now the guy wants to be in front of me all the time. He never wanted to hang out with me before, Mr. Algae Blenny there. But yeah, it took some time. I have been dosing the tank maybe once or twice every 2 weeks with the Reef instead of using the two-part. I was using two-part, but I found that the Reef does an excellent job, especially maintaining stable pH. You don't have to worry about the pH going out of whack. I am monitoring the pH with the Hydros system, which I actually just expanded to add another power port here. I was running this tank on a separate smart controller, and I said, you know what? I've been running the Hydros for a couple of years now, and shout out to Coral View, Dave and the guys at Coral View. I know I was a pain in the butt when it came to trying something new. I'm really a stickler for being simple, keeping it simple, and it really proved to be pretty efficient. No programming headaches. It's pretty simple. Controls the heating and the just everything. It just controls the parameters of the tank. I can't thank them enough, and I can't recommend having some sort of control or monitoring for your tank if you're going to add coral, just for stability concerns. Monitoring the pH, monitoring the temperature is a big deal. So really quick short update. Tank's doing well. I was about to feed them, so I have some cyclopes here, which is really more for the coral than for the fish, but the fish love it too. I've mated it with some aminos by Brightwell Aquatics. I'll give you an update on this tank another time, but that'll be the short update for the tank. Doing well. The pH hovers at around 8.17 right now. It's been stable around between 8.12 and 8.17. It hasn't gone higher than that. Everything is encrusting nicely. If you look really close, you can even see a little polyp extension moving within the coral, so they're doing very nicely. Very good colors. I've had the pleasure of adapting the lighting photo period to about 3 hours of white from about 1 to 3, 4 o'clock, and most of the time I have it on intense 460 blues, and I think that is the happy place, as well as controlling the algae. So I will stick with that, and everything has been doing nicely and encrusting. And this guy is really looking old. He does a really funny thing where he swims facing straight up like this. I thought he was dead one day. Instead of swimming like this, he'll literally swim like this, and then when I get up, he'll do like that, and it's like the weirdest thing. Of course he won't do it now because I'm looking at him. Would you sit up straight now? He's a bit of a weirdo, but we're all weird in Brooklyn. So anyway, that is the update for the tank. My dominoes there, Hesse and Chica. That is my essay there because he has his one teardrop. I love that guy. The only other fish that you will not see, maybe I can catch him later, is my flame wrasse, my firefish. He comes out when the food comes out, so I definitely have to put some food in the water column for that guy to come out. You won't see him. So that is the update. Nice and simple, short, to the point. I hope you like these videos. I hope you click that subscribe button and a thumbs up so that you know when I have the updates coming out. And look out for further updates on the other tank. As you can see, I have quite a few. So till next time, this is D from Brooklyn. Love, peace, and hair grease. Keep your sanity. Keep fish. Keep an aquarium simple. See ya.